Live from the legendary podcast bus in sunny California, it's America's funniest new podcast.
Oh my God, what are you doing?
We think it's funny. And now, here are your hosts, Mark Schiff and Daniel LaBelle.
Hey everybody, we're back again with another episode of We Think It's Funny. I'm Daniel LaBelle.
Mark Schiff here. We think it's funny. Good to see you, Danny.
Good to see you, Mark.
So you have somebody here today, and I do too. I guess I have not really met, but you know. So tell us.
One of my good friends from comedy for many years, who I met through the late great Ralphie May. We were part of the Ralphie Circle. May he rest in peace. And I love him. And you're all going to love him too. Skyler Stone. Here he is, folks.
How you doing, guys? Pleasure.
I don't know why I haven't crossed paths with you.
I don't, especially when he asked me to do this, and then he said your name, and I looked you up. I'm like, I don't know how. I mean, you've been doing this a long time. I don't know why we don't know each other.
Yeah.
Well, I came out of New York, and then I moved here in 1984, and I did the store, I did the Improv, the Laugh Factory, and then you went on the road, and maybe I wasn't at the clubs.
Yeah, maybe by the time I was like an LA local, you were just gone.
Yeah.
So.
Gone. But hopefully not forgotten.
You finally you meet here.
I meant gone on the road. I don't mean like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't mean. Can you imagine? Then your career was just over.
That was over.
Let me tell you, I had that recently. What's his name? Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
You know what happened? He got beaten up in New York.
I did hear that, but I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Mark did it.
Yeah. So I should have. So he's a great guy. He's a great actor and a really nice guy. He came into the Improv in like 1977 to audition. And for some reason, I was running the audition that night, and I passed him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I got flack from Silver, who owned the Improv at the time. She said, "What'd you pass him for?" Because she only, Anyway, make a long story short, in this interview on this podcast, he goes, yeah, Mark Schiff, he passed me on the thing. He goes, "Whatever happened to him?" Oh, God, I hated that.
No, but by the way, I think we all have like little moments like that. Like just last week, we were at a dinner, me and my wife, and someone stopped by our table. And, we're in the middle of like, I think I seriously was in the middle of a conversation about like how my career is going good in some areas. And this person walked up, and he's kind of and I'm not going to say his name, but he's kind of a little bit, he's a big deal in this town. And he goes, "Hey, what's up, Scout? You still doing stand-up?" And it's like, oh, what the?
Right.
Still doing stand-up?
I hate that question.
Well,
What a weird, it's just a little hobby of mine.
Right.
Don't feel bad about that. I'll tell you why you're going to love this. I've been on tour with Seinfeld for 20 years. I was just with him this week in New Orleans and in Nashville. And people say to me, so where you been? I said, I was just with Jerry. And they go, "Is he still doing stand-up?" I swear to God, almost everyone says that to me.
Yeah.
But I feel...
Here's a topic. There's this guy I used to work for in radio. I won't mention his name, but I saw him in New York. He was one of my first bosses when I worked in radio. And I saw him in New York recently when I was there. And he comes up to me and he goes, "So you still doing your little comedy shticks?"
Yeah.
Yeah, your comedy shticks.
Yeah.
My comedy shticks. You got a little shtick.
But by the way, I'll take shticks before this one. I hate when people go, "Yo, I got something for you." You ever try to take like a cap off a water bottle? I feel like you could do one of your skits.
Yeah.
Skits?
Yeah.
I don't do skits.
Yeah.
I'm not on SNL.
Right.
I'm sure you got this. You should come to where I work, and you'll have hours of material.
Oh, yeah.
Really? Where?
No, everybody
people
says
say
that to
that.
us.
Oh, yeah.
Just at the barbershop. You come to the barbershop.
He thought he was
telling you.
inviting you to where he works.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, maybe it's not going so well. You at Home Depot or what's going on?
So interesting question about going well, and I wasn't planning to get into this, but I didn't become very, famous in a sense, but I've worked my entire career, and I'm okay with it. I'm satisfied with it. Somebody once said to me, "If that's all you get, are you okay with that?" And it was years ago they asked me that question, and I thought, yeah, because if I've earned a living for the last, which 98% of the people do not, that get into this thing, then I think I've done all right.
Well, I mean, I think there's only three ways you can go. Jerry Seinfeld, successful, right? Working comedian or working actor, maybe not famous, but you know what? You don't worry about anything and you do what you love. Or you kind of get kicked out of the business or you quit. Right. So it's like three, two of them are good.
Or there's a fourth way.
What's the fourth way?
You start putting hours of work into a school bus. Could happen to
So what do you
anyone.
think of this bus here?
This bus is great.
A podcast bus.
I've been on short buses my whole life, so
Yeah.
I feel great.
Yeah,
I feel like
You know, I went to school. I call it the school for messed up Jews. When I got kicked out of yeshiva, which is like a normal Jewish school, in the middle of ninth grade, and nobody wanted me because nobody. It didn't make sense that they kicked me. They kicked me out because I was, a class clown, but they really kicked me out because my grades were not great. They weren't bad. I wasn't failing, but they weren't great. And no school believed that. So I wound up.
What do you mean they didn't believe that?
They didn't. My parents shopped me around to all the Jewish schools, and they would say, "So what's the real reason you got kicked out?" I said, "No, just my grades." They said, "Well, you're passing." I mean, I said, "I know, but they want only 8 students." They said, "Yeah, it doesn't add up." But it really was the reason.
It really was.
It really was, and they apologized to me. The school apologized to me 20 years later for kicking me out on such an unprecedented thing. But I wound up going to the school for messed up Jews, I call it. And it was all the drug addict Jews or the Jews that are just like, broken toys. And it was an hour away. And we had to go on a short bus to get there. We lived in Nassau County. This was in Suffolk County. And it was a long drive all the way out to Comac. And there's a lot of good stories from the short bus. But the best one is there was a kid named Vadim who only had one arm. This is messed up Jews, right? He only had one arm. And he was born that way. He had a stub on one side and an arm on the other side. And his insurance would send him every few months a brand new prosthetic arm. So his locker was filled with all the old arms.
Wow.
And he used them for pranks. And one day, there's a clutch in the arm. So I don't know if the listeners can picture this, but if you pull this clutch back, the fingers, the fist closes on the hand.
Mm-hmm.
So he takes a big Ziploc bag, fills it with marinara sauce, and clutches it into the hand of the prosthetic arm.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing like 90 miles an hour on the Meadowbrook Parkway on the way home from school. And you pinch the little windows. It's like that here too. You pinch the 2 things to open the school bus window and it locks to a certain place. So he locks the arm out the window with the bag flickering in the wind, clutched in the hand. And when the right moment comes around, he opens the window and the arm and the bag and the sauce goes flying onto the windshield behind the car behind us. And it makes a big spiderweb crack in the window and they go like right off the highway onto the shoulder of the road. And the bus driver figures out what just happened and he pulls over and the cops get called and his parents get called. We're all there till 11 o'clock at night. We wanted to murder him. But
what was the marinara sauce to make it look like it was
like
blood?
Yeah, it looked
That
like a bloody
person must
arm.
have been so freaked out.
They could have had a heart attack. It
And
was
those
the worst.
people have a prosthetic head now.
My goodness.
You know
Yeah.
the joke about the guy, they send a kid to a public school, gets all U's and D's, fails everything. Then they send him to private school, U's and D's, Jewish kid.
Okay.
Send him to U's and D's, send him to a Jewish school, U's and D's, send him to a Catholic school. A's across the board, A pluses. They can't believe it. They wait one more session, new report card, A pluses. They said, how did this happen? We sent you to a Jewish school, we sent you to a public school, we sent you to a private school. We send you here all A's. He goes, when I saw that guy on the cross, I knew they meant business.
Yeah, we did not mean business. And,
Yeah.
The school's name was Task. It doesn't exist anymore. It stood for Torah Academy of Suffolk County, but the thing was, it's a real task to take care of these kids. We were all like, the one kid had 2 left feet. And I think there's a joke in this, not the
Cancer.
left feet thing, but I was thinking about it this week. I could write a joke because in high school, it was the 90s, he started an online business selling used books on the internet out of his parents' garage. And you know where he is now? He's still in his parents' garage
Right.
selling used books on the internet. He's not Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
But I think I think
2
I
ways
could do
that
that
can go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Either
Literally,
Bezos or you're still there.
he's still got that job, and he makes like $15,000 a year. or
That's
something.
that's a great modern version of like the guy that missed the high school football pass. You know what I mean? I missed that pass. I would have been the next.
Right.
He's like, dude, I sold so many books. If I just sold 100 more, I'd be Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, my grandfather came to this country in 1902 with $1 in his pocket. When he died in 1981, he had $2.
Right.
So he doubled his money in
Doubled his
America.
money, yeah.
It was tremendous. So good to see you. Good to meet you. So we never crossed paths. So tell us about your little, I mean, a little about your journey.
skits, your comedy skits.
Oh, my little comedy skits, my beeps, my boops.
The little jokes you do, the little jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, as far as I do stand up and acting, but that we know each other through stand up. I believe did we meet opening for Ralphie together, or was it at a party first? I don't really remember.
I don't remember either. Well,
we
we did both. We both would open for Ralphie on some shows together, and we also were at a lot of Ralphie would throw these great parties.
Yeah.
And I remember Gilbert Godfrey was at some of them, and Jeff Ross, Bert Kreischer,
Brad Williams
he
was
had a
up there.
career, yeah.
A lot of guys. I mean, Ralphie and I, he loved doing my show. One of the things I do is I have a really big show here in LA called Comedy Rocks. It started at the Hollywood Improv in like 2010, and then it went over to the Comedy Store during that whole like podcast era. It was there for like the 16 to 2019 podcast boom when Rogan and Segura and everybody was there.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool time to have a show. We would do these double banger shows, at like 7 and 9:30. And I mean, you could just throw a show on sale during that time at the Comedy Store. It'd be sold out in 24 hours.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. And they were raising the prices, still sell out. We were talking about doing midnight shows at a certain point. We were talking about like just adding a third show. But, so I've been doing that show a long time. Now it's, then I went to Jam in the Van during the pandemic. That was an outdoor venue because we needed somewhere to be outside.
And another van.
Yeah, exactly. But we didn't do it in a van. It started in a van, but then ended up in a courtyard, like a factory yard.
Okay.
But now it's back at the Hollywood Improv at its original home.
Oh,
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Tell us about a special night that maybe something might come to mind.
Well, here's a good Ralphie story. Ralphie was very famous for, anyone that booked him locally knew that he was just like so easy to deal with. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not saying he was an easy human. There were difficult sides to Ralphie. Don't get me wrong. But as far as like booking him on a show, Ralphie, if you text him and said, "Will you do my show?" He'd write back right away. "You got it, man." He was the only comic that wouldn't go, "I got an early flight. Can you put me up second?"
Yeah.
Can you put these 12 people on the list? Hey, man, make sure I get a girl. Help me meet a girl. There are comics that are like, can you like get like a girl up to the green room for me? It's like, dude, what is this? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so Ralphie was famous for saying absolutely. And then if I ever asked him, like, do you have any preference on the lineup? He was, "Skyler, I saw the flyer. You got 13 people on that flyer. Put me at the end. I'll follow all of them." Wow. He's the only guy that would say that. And he could follow.
You half did the Ralphie impression, by the way.
I know, I stopped doing it.
I always get him to do it because he does the best Ralphie impression.
Okay, so what were you saying? I was like, "Hey, Ralphie, where do you want to go?" He's like, "Stone, you got 13 people on that lineup, Stone. You got 13 people." He goes, "They're all heavy hitters, bro. They're all heavy hitters. They're all ridiculous. Put me up after all of them. I'll destroy. I don't give a damn."
It's a perfect Ralphie.
And he didn't care. He like and by the way, when he says "put me up after all of them," I want to make sure you and the audience, you know this because you see my lineups, but
yeah.
You and the audience know these are lineups like. He did. I did a benefit for an Oklahoma tornado once, a big one. It was like the whole country was sending money there, and so I did this Red Cross benefit, and this was the lineup. It was Christopher Titus, it was Jeff Ross, it was Drew Carey, it was Harlan Williams, it was Dane Cook, it was Sarah Silverman, it was Sebastian Maniscalco. I mean, it was like,
yeah.
So that's 13 of those kind of comics, and Ralphie went up, and they all did 15 minutes. Ralphie goes up and does 45. Wow. And like when he got on stage, you really didn't know if he was going to get them for a second. I mean, you knew because if you know him, you knew. But like the first 2 minutes, he was like going, "What's going on? I don't know what to talk about. What you doing? You drinking some water? Okay. How's that waitress doing? You being nice to her? Okay." And like nothing funny for like the first, he's just like looking around, and then all of a sudden just starts off, talking about something happened. "Oh, you know what happened this morning?" And I knew that thing happened this morning, and he was doing a bit on something that happened to him that morning.
Wow.
And everybody else is doing their A game because they're on a benefit. It's the Improv, and there's press there. There was a red carpet, and not Ralphie, dude. Just talking about his day, talking about the audience, and destroying harder than anybody else.
I tell this to people because people don't know. I really think he was a savant genius.
Yes.
I really think. I don't know what his IQ was. I don't know if he was ever tested as a genius, but I've met a lot of people, and a lot of them, high profile people, very high functioning people, but I never met anybody quite as brilliant as Ralphie was. Just off stage talking to the guy, he had such an insight into life that I've never seen or heard from anyone. Patrice O'Neal was a little bit like that too.
Patrice I put them in the same category like that.
I would say not a little bit like that, but he was like that too. But yeah, they both had this very amazing kind of different way of seeing the world.
Did they have a memorial for Ralphie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were both on it.
Yeah, it was at the Hollywood Improv. Yeah, it was a weird night. You know, it was like because there were a couple things that happened to Ralphie at the end. There was like sort of this camp that you and I were in, like old school friends and stuff, and Bert's in there, and people like that, and then there was like kind of like this new crew of people that kind of were around him in the end, and there's question marks surrounding that whole time, and certain people.
Yeah.
Not gonna name names, but it created this weird sort of situation where it was like old school friends, new school friends, and it
wasn't even old school, new school. It was like his old friends and then a bunch of very strange people.
There you go. That's a better way to put it.
A bunch of very bizarre. And then a ventriloquist went up for some reason that apparently had nothing to do with Ralphie.
That was weird.
That was very weird.
That was
and
weird.
Everybody was saying,
Bizarre.
how did he get up there? And then he just wanted stage time, and he didn't realize, I think, that it was a memorial. And then they couldn't get him off stage for a while.
By the way, that is like an bro. That sounds like a Will Ferrell SNL character, like on his audition tape. All right, this is a ventriloquist who's walked in the Hollywood Improv. He thinks it's an open mic, but it's actually a memorial for a very famous comedian, and everyone's very sad. And by the way, maybe his ventriloquist even talks about things that he thinks are funny that are like how Ralphie died. You know what I mean? Like, hey, what's up with being overweight and taking pills, huh? Like, what? What's going on right now?
I was at some memorial. I mentioned the guy's name, a comedian that passed, and it was at the Improv. And his mother, his wife, and I think he had like 2 daughters were sitting right up front. And one of the comics went up and talked about how much he enjoyed hookers. And this is really not. The mother, she's not happy to begin with. Oh, this guy, he would do anything with a hooker.
And that you bring up a great point, because I've often thought there needs to be 2 memorials for all comics. Mm-hmm. One of them is like family present, whatever
right.
your past,
That's
and
right.
one is just like comics only.
Right.
Because I went to, I am going to mention this one. I went to John Panett's memorial at the Hollywood Improv.
You only go to Fat Guy Memorial?
Yes. Yeah, I was too young for Chris Farley's,
I don't know if I should stay friends with you.
I just lose
How's
weight.
the buffet at a Fat Guy's Memorial?
John Panett's spread was okay. I think there was
They
a
didn't
spread
have
at
anything
Ralphie's.
at Ralphie's, no.
Yeah.
You got out of here.
Yeah.
Right? Wasn't that Panette's?
Oh yes,
the
yes,
buffet?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, his dude, he was
So-
he was a crusher.
So what happened at the...
I'm at Panett's memorial, and everybody's saying very nice things. And there might have been like an appropriate once in a while, like he had his difficult sides, but they would quickly go into like how great he was, right?
Yeah.
Then his opener gets up, and the opener, I don't even know the guy's name, but his opening line was literally like, I don't know what any of you are talking about or how much time you spent with John, but I'm going to talk about who he really was, and just proceeded to talk about how nasty he could be, how mean he could be. And I was just like, dude.
Oh, no.
And again, like it just belonged at a comic only memorial. There was family there that flew from out of town.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And no one else was doing that. So
Yeah.
you're not supposed to speak ill of the dead.
Not a good move.
You could roast the dead, but he wasn't even being funny about it. He was literally just saying you're all wrong, and he wasn't that nice.
Oh, no.
There was a joke about this memorial they had for a guy, and everybody, one after another, saying the nastiest things about this guy that's dead. So the priest says, doesn't anybody here have anything nice to say? Guy raises his hand. He goes up. He goes, his brother was worse than him.
That's a good joke.
It is a good joke.
Yeah.
So how do you put these shows together, by the way? I mean, you just know every single...
Over time, I don't know. Like I've been at the Improv bar was a great place to just hang back when I drank. And I'd just be there, and someone might have a couple drinks, and you walk up and just say, hey, I went on tonight. They'd be like, oh, I saw you. I'm like, I'd love to. I have my own show. Would you do my show sometime? And then I would just get people. I never really, I just collected numbers,
Yeah, that's cool.
But now people, like, they see that as some, like, superpower, because there are people that hit me up. I'm like, hey, man, Can you help me get a hold of the following people? Like all the time, for like my inbox is full. Like, hey, I see Sarah Silverman. I've got this project I want to get to, and I'm like, dude.
I had a thing. Jay Leno came in and did our podcast. A guy who I haven't spoken to and never really was very. I like him, but I was never very close with him. I never spent time, the two of us, ever together. Just the two of us. Just someone I know.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Hey, I have a script for an idea. I want Jay Leno to be the star of a show. Can you give it to him?" I said, "I don't even know him."
Right.
And he said, "Well, he's on your podcast." I said, "But I just had him on the podcast. I don't know him. I don't know him in a way that I could start pitching him scripts. Also, like, this isn't a close friend of mine or something."
Yeah, and also like star of a show, like meaning like be an actor. He never really was an actor.
He says, "Well, if he says yes to doing this, you could have a piece of it."
Of course.
I said, "Oh well, I'll take my chances on missing out on that."
Yeah.
Jay did a couple movies way back.
Yeah.
Sure, but like I don't
no, he
think
was an actor.
But he has not acted in decades.
I'm like, thank you, but no. He goes, "Well, you never know. If you have the guts, you never know what you could do if you try." I said, "Thank you.
It would be funny though to like stunt cast him in a movie. Like an R-rated comedy where he's like a messed up dude, like a cokehead or something. Just imagine Jay Leno like, "Hey, did you hear about this one?" and so anyway, I just, oh, that was nice.
And he's never had a beer, he told us, in his life. Never one.
Right.
You're sober.
He's never had a beer?
He's never had one beer.
What about other drinks, though?
I don't think he had any.
I've worked with him forever down at the Comedy Magic Club. I've never seen him have anything.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I just thought it was a weird way to. Like, he's never had a beer. Like, what? He has a vodka problem? Like,
No. I think
He
he's
just means
never
never
had
had
a
a drink.
drink.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a sober guy?
I am.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I was just in New Orleans. You've been there?
Oh, yeah, many times.
So I'm on Bourbon Street at night. I'm walking around. You know how drunk the people get.
It stinks.
It's
vomit.
just vomiting, and I'm thinking, I think I quit too soon. I think that
But
maybe
you wanted to.
I was just beginning compared to these people on this street here.
Wait, how old were you when you got sober?
So I was early 30s.
You did it. That's a pretty good time.
Yeah, I did it. I was a blackout drinker. I would, if I did this podcast with you now, and I bumped into you tomorrow, I wouldn't remember seeing you.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, I was completely shocked.
I wasn't a daily guy, but I was a binger, and I would probably black out like maybe like 2 and 5 times of drinking, but it'd be bad blackouts. I got 5150'd. I got arrested. I got restraining orders. I mean, it was bad.
Oh.
Yeah.
I should move away from you. You're a bad influence.
I was a bad influence, absolutely.
Yeah.
When I was under the influence.
So I had you want to talk about a blackout? Just tell you quickly. I was at a meeting, and this girl's across from me, and she starts waving to me, and I wave back to her, and she waves to me, and after she comes over to me, she says, "Mark, how are you?" I go, "Good." She looks at me. She goes, "Do you not remember who I am?" I said, "I'm sorry, I don't." She goes, "I'm Margaret. I lived with you for a year." Unbelievable. Now, I thought maybe she was psychotic because I did not remember this. I called my roommate at the time, this guy, John, and I said, "Do you remember Margaret?" He said, "Yeah, she lived with us for a year. She was just a roommate that we had. 1 full year, completely washed out of my brain. Never came back."
She probably wasn't that memorable.
He also has 3 children with her.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Don't remember any of them. But,
So when you first became buddies with Seinfeld, you were a mess back then?
yes. I was never a mess. So what I was I never got drunk at the clubs, even though it was all there. But as soon as my set was over, I'd start with the
You
beer.
were functioning alcoholic.
Yeah, functioning, wine and beer. And in New York, you don't need to drive. You have cabs, buses, trains, so I could drink in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would walk around the streets with a beer, and they give you these little bags, these brown paper bags. Nothing looks more like a beer in a bag than a beer in a bag. Everyone that goes by goes, "You got a beer in that bag." Right? So, you know, nobody puts a Coke in one of those little brown paper. So anyway, and I would pass out at night. And the next day, I had youth on my side, so I would recover quickly.
Yeah.
But when I moved to California, I started driving. And I started blacking out and falling asleep at the wheel.
Okay.
Never got popped, never got busted, no accidents. But luckily, I got to it, and I never had another drink again.
You're lucky.
Did Seinfeld drink with you ever?
Yes, but not like that. I remember one time he had to celebrate him getting a show, and it was actually Benson. He first got Benson, the show. He was a recurring character. I went to his house with a half a gallon of Almadine wine and we sat on the stoop of his apartment in West Hollywood, and I polished off the entire half a gallon while he was sitting there.
That was a normal night for me. Like,
Yeah, I think I had a cookie with it. Because you want to eat a little something, too.
Right, to balance it out.
I wish I was that smart. I was always I would purposely stop eating around 1:00 in the afternoon so that I was going to be nice and empty at night. And when I met the guy that helped me basically get sober, he told me he goes, did you ever plan to get messed up? Did you ever on a Monday go, oh, this Friday night I'm getting messed up? I'm like, yeah. He's like, normal people don't do that. They just don't think that way. Did you ever get two kinds of alcohol because you knew that when you mix these two together, it brought you to the next level? Yeah, he's like, normal people don't think that way.
When I was in my 20s, I got drunk all the time, blacked out a lot of times, and then I just got sick of it. I never wound up. I even went to some AA meetings, and then I stopped going, and eventually I just started feeling awful from the alcohol, and I quit because of that. But I didn't get anywhere with the meetings.
Right.
But I.
Yeah, you're definitely not one of us. I mean,
No.
our type,
Yeah.
you can't make decisions. You can't go, you know what, this isn't good for me. That's
Right.
why I did it. I'm like, 'cause I
Right.
hated myself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Wow. And you got caught,
What do you mean?
by the police?
Oh gosh, so all kinds of things. I mean,
Is it scary?
going to jail.
Yeah.
The first time it's very scary.
The second time it's a breeze?
I wouldn't say it's a breeze, but that first time it's like one of the biggest movie scenes in your life. I mean, the second those cuffs go on and you're like, I can't move right now. This is it's just such a robbing of freedom. You know what I mean? And you realize you're like, I can't believe I'm in this situation. And by the way, they don't do it in the front. When you're a male, they do it in the back. All the women might get cuffed up front, but guys do not. And so that's even more and I have claustrophobia issues.
Wow.
So and then they put you in that back, and the back has you've never been in a car where you can't open it. You know what I mean? It just feels like you're in just a rotting hell. It's terrible.
Wow.
Yeah. And then when you
scary.
get there, oh my gosh, dude. I remember when I got out, I said to my grandpa, they were so mean to me in there. I was like, yeah, dude. He's like, that's, yes, yeah. He's like, they're not trying to make you go, it's not so bad. I wouldn't mind going there. They want you to feel like I never want to go in there again. And that you stop clogging up their system. So they don't want paperwork. You're paperwork to them. They didn't get in this to put guys like you away. They got in this to go find the rapists, the murderers. And
Right.
you're just they're looking at you like, what are you doing? You know what I
Right.
mean? So
And you didn't
Paperwork.
start studying the law books while you're in there like these guys after 30 years? You became a lawyer and born again. That wasn't you?
you imagine?
And ripped.
I'm in there like a day and a half.
Got a law
I'm
degree.
De Niro in what's that movie when he?
Taxi driver?
No, the other one he's in prison forever and gets out and starts stalking the family. Nick Nolte,
Yeah.
Scorsese.
With the big cigar?
Yeah, I can't remember the damn movie.
He comes out as a black Israelite.
I mean,
Anybody threaten you in prison? Because I know a guy, in fact, yesterday he was talking about it. They threw him in the thing here downtown L.A. and all these gang members, and they just looked at him and said, I'm going to kill you.
It's no joke. Well, it depends on which one you're in. I've been in Beverly Hills,
Nice.
Van
That's
Nuys,
a good one.
Van Nuys,
That nice.
one in Michigan, I think Vegas. 6 times, I think. I can't remember what the sixth
Which
one
was the
though.
nicest? Which was the worst?
Oh, believe it or not, and this is going to be hard to believe, the Beverly Hills one was disgusting.
I'm sorry
It
to
was
hear that.
disgusting.
I'll put a word into the mayor.
Yeah. I went in the Beverly Hills one. There was a guy, and I didn't even know this was a thing. You ever just see something and you're like, I didn't even know that was a thing. This guy was sitting down, and he had these gross, grimy. He was homeless for sure. Gross, grimy jean shorts on. They were long jean shorts and very baggy, and you'll know why they were baggy in a second. And he was kind of turned the other way. So when I would look over at him, I couldn't really see this thing that I was about to see when he got up. Although at some points I did notice he was resting his hands on something in front of him, and I just thought does he have a basketball or something? Did they let this guy come in? He's like, hey, I'll come in, but I need my basketball. You know, maybe he's mentally ill, and they check the ball out and scanned it, and it's better if he has the ball.
Scanned it.
Yeah, maybe he'll kill someone if he doesn't have the ball. So I didn't know what it was, but I noticed his hands were resting on something, and I'm like, that's too high for a lap. That's not his lap. And when he got up to go get a drink from the drinking fountain, he's the only one that drank out of this gross drinking fountain. He walked over, and his baggy pants fell all the way down to his ankles, and he had no underwear on. And it was his ball sack. He had gigantism of the balls, which I didn't know was a thing at all. And I cannot tell you just how. I mean, they were like a basketball. It was. So I saw this guy's ball sack, and I thought it was going to explode. You know what I mean?
Gigantism of the ball.
Yeah.
Wow.
Talk about a set.
So,
am I allowed to say that, by the way, Jay?
I think
yeah,
you
no,
can.
you're good. You're good. So
we'll find out.
You look nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh.
No, I wasn't.
I'll get off this quickly. But did they have the toilet in the cell with the no seat?
Yes.
Just a piece of metal?
And let me tell you something. You may think you're made of something where you're like, oh, I'll just not take a deuce, you know. But like when the processing time is not short, and that's part of. I mean, it could be you've done nothing. You're drunk in public, right? I haven't hurt anybody physically. I didn't steal property, like you know,
which is okay to do now, by the way.
Yeah, of course. Now you can do all that.
Encouraged.
I mean, in fact, please come to LA and do that. We're all big fans of it. So. We took it away for a reason. We want the world to burn. You may think that you could make it like 30 hours, which is, I think, what my first day was. It was 30 hours. But like, only if you knew you were going to jail, would you maybe have a diet where you're like, you know, I'm not gonna have any beans. I'm not gonna have any. But like, when you don't know and you're in the middle of a freaking, you know, you've been drinking and doing drugs all day and eating Taco Bell and all this stuff, like, you know, that's got to come out. You know what I mean? Yeah, I got whiskey and chalupas in me. Like, so I made it to about like the 25th hour, like literally, like no pun intended there. Yeah. But I get there and all of a sudden I sit down and I'm just like, I didn't say anything, but I definitely gave that look of like, sorry, like, to the other guys in there, like, and right after that look, it was just like, boom, like it was just, you could hear it coming out. It was like a salad shooter.
Wow.
It erupted.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I'm sorry I asked.
By the way, when I got robbed on my studio, the mayor of Beverly Hills saw it on the news, sent me $500.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Personally.
Tell them to buy a toilet seat.
Yeah, I mean, now I have an in.
You know about this bus got robbed.
Is that not amazing?
Oh, I felt very bad. I was shocked.
Yeah.
But also not with what we just said about the city right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's a
Like,
mess.
So you're proof that prison works because you're a reformed guy now. It turned you around.
I think I'm proof that marrying a Latina will turn you around. Like my wife is. When you have a Latina, like they just know when you're up to something. They know when you're thinking about being up to something. And if you do happen to, you know, get one past them, they figure it out very quickly.
She's a very smart.
She's a
wife.
crafty one.
Crafty.
We'll just leave it at that.
And a lovely woman.
She's a lovely woman, but with like, you know, it's like. You know, just like the day gets bright, the night gets dark, right? Like, so there's times where she and I deserved most of what she threw my way. I'll say
plates.
You know, plates for sure happened. Yeah, we had some Sid and Nancy-esque nights. Like it was, you know, but you know, she, a woman like that will reform you because they just like. I remember the first time I ever let her down, like in our relationship. Like she just looked at me like, oh, no one lets me down. Like, you know, like it was that kind of, you know what I mean? And then she found out everything I did. And then she asked me everything. And then I stopped short of saying everything. And then she kept looking at me, is there anything else you want to talk about? And I'm like, I could just feel that she knew the things I was holding back. And then sure enough, she turned like a notepad around, showed me. She's like, maybe these last two things here. Are you going to mention these things? And I'm like, oh yeah, I did those too. Yeah, she was like Dick Tracy. She had a whole pad. She figured everything out. And
she's from where?
Orange County.
Orange County. And Latina.
That's one of the great Latina countries.
Yeah,
yes.
it is. Yeah. Have you met her family?
She has no siblings. Her mother passed away when she was young, but yeah, I'm very close with her father. Yeah.
How was that?
And they have
meeting him?
beautiful twins together. Really cute kids.
How was it meeting the father?
Well, he's a very strong religious man, and sometimes with certain religion, he's a very strong Christian man. Some of their beliefs I'm not really into. I'm Christian myself, but like I would like to think I'm more of like a modern,
a modern man.
Yes, like I've adapted with the times, let's say. But there's certain subjects that came up when we met, and we learned very quickly, like, oh, you know what? We should just talk about the Lakers, and that's it. And so that's what we did at first. When we get together, we just be like, did you see the game? And we start talking about the game, you know what I mean? And then we found common ground, and over time we have a lot of things in common now.
Yeah.
And we just agreed that there's about 6 subjects we don't bring up.
How long are you married?
I've been with her since 2008, but been married since 10 years this July.
Well, good for you. And two kids?
4 kids. She had 2 with her, so I acquired 2 children. Instant family.
Yeah.
Just add water, and boom, we were.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I have 4 total.
By the way, I wanted to mention on the show, I told you this anyway, but I'll tell everybody, you were so phenomenal in this Nicolas Cage movie.
Thank you. The Old Way.
The Old Way.
Yes.
And you had not a small part, but not a major part.
No, but like a great scene with him.
You stole the show.
Thank you.
You stole the whole film.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well,
but,
I think so. I think so. And I think if people watch it, they'll agree with me because your character was just so weird. I don't know how you pulled. It was a lot of lines too. You had a long monologue, and you delivered it as this character flawlessly.
Thank you.
And it was the best scene in the movie. And I don't think just because I know you. I really think it was.
Where can I see this?
Right now, I think it's on Hulu. It's called The Old Way, directed by Brett Donahue. It's a great movie. Ron Howard's brother's in it too, Clint Howard.
Yeah.
And Nicolas Cage is the lead in the movie.
What was it like working with Nicolas Cage?
I mean, look, I like the manic guys. I'm really into like Michael Keaton. I'm into Jack Nicholson, Cage, So those 3 guys are like on my Mount Rushmore. So like to finally have worked with, I mean, I've met Michael Keaton, but I've never worked with him. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I've never met Nicholson. I've always wanted to, but when this casting director who's cast me before, she's like, I got a Cage movie. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, there's just nothing for you in it. I swear she said that. And I go, really? Because it's like, this was like July of 2021. Like no one's working. There's nothing going on. It's the pandemic. And they're just getting some projects going. And this is one of very few that were going on. She goes, I wish there was something, Skyler. I go, I need to work. I got to get my health insurance through SAG. I haven't made enough this year. She goes, look, there's this one role, but like Skyler, you're not going to get it. And like, I kind of like that she said that because it felt like a damn challenge. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I'll show you. Like I'm just like my wife. I'm like, oh, don't you tell me I'm not going to.
Brought the notepad.
That's right. All right. And so she sent me the sides. I could see why she thought I couldn't get it because it was really supposed to be, a very, very strange man. And I'm strange, but this was like a different strange. This is like a guy that still lives with his mom in the 1870s Wyoming. I could see, like, if I was reading this and the movie was already cast and I wasn't desperate to work and it wasn't the pandemic, I would never have seen this role and gone, oh, I wish I would have got that. This would have been perfect for me. You know what I mean? So like, I see why she said that, but when I made the tape, what I like about self-tapes, even though I used to love driving to a studio and being on the list and getting in and seeing Paramount or Warner Brothers and being in a room and earning a role in a room by charming them. I liked all that, but what I like about self-tapes, doing it at home, you can do as many takes as you want.
Right.
And at an audition, you didn't, if you went past, well, sometimes they might give you 2, and if you really push, you might
do it this way.
Yeah, you might get 3. If you ask for 4, you might as well just have said, don't cast me in this. I'm a jerk. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I did 27 takes of my wife. I drove her literally insane. And she's like, Skyler, it's in there. I go, no, because I would get the accent down. Because remember, it's 1870s Wyoming. You can't just sound like right now.
Can you do it for people to hear?
God,
I know you can.
I know he was deep down and just sort of, I'm trying to remember some of the lines. I can't think of what I did.
The accent, not the lines.
So I'm a blacksmith, and you're coming in to get your horse shoed.
What was it? Wait, Mr. Jeffries. I think my name was Mr. Jeffries, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
Mr.
so.
Jeffries. I can't remember the lines, but like you had to sound like you were from that time.
It's so good. Just go. People have to go. And see
yeah,
it, yeah.
And so there was that. but then there were also words that we don't use now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes I would do a take where I'd nail the accent, but then I would say something kind of modern, like, I might be like, I would just say something that I might ad lib a line, and it was like a word that is it's slang from the 90s or something, and also I'm like, oh my god, did I just say "dang it" in there or something, or did I say tubular or something? Like,
Right.
I would just say a word that I'm like, that's not gonna work. That's I'm just being silly, but
Yeah.
Far out.
yeah, exactly. Like, did I just say fake news? Like, so I and then also vice versa. Sometimes I get all the words right, but then the accent was gone. And then sometimes I get both those things right, but then like the emotion was gone because I was focused so hard on saying these words and sounding this way that it became flat. So to get all three at once was really hard. And then that also proved hard on set because then you add in the layer of now you're working with an idol. Like, so you've got to nail all these things.
Right.
And you're staring at a guy. I've never met someone with as much presence as he has in my entire life. And I've worked with a lot of stars. You feel Nicolas Cage coming around a corner. Like you could just be facing this way. And then you might not see Nicolas Cage for 5 years. And if he's 10 feet behind you, you're like, I think Nicolas Cage is behind me.
Wow.
Like he has presence.
He does.
It's
Yeah.
really
He's a
hard
real
to describe
He's
it.
a real movie star.
Yeah, 100%. And they don't make a lot of those anymore. He's like he's like from that time of like Kurt Russell, Michael Douglas, and like
He did Leaving Las Vegas, right?
he did.
Yeah.
Amazing performance. Did he win the Academy Award?
He did.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, that's the only time
And
he's
of
won.
course, he made with Cher,
Moonstruck.
Moonstruck, which is an
That was a
amazing
great movie. Yeah.
And then
He's one of those guys that he's bounced flawlessly between, Ben Stiller, or no, who actually said that? Someone said, I think James Franco or someone said, like, I do one for them, meaning like for the studios, so
right.
I can do two for me. Like go do that one that makes it, like 320 million and then makes everybody happy, your reps are happy, and then you're like, I'm gonna go make this little indie about this painter from the 1970s or whatever. And so he was like that. Like if you think about it, he would go do Con Air. And then all of a sudden he's like in Adaptation. You know what I mean?
Adaptation,
He do
right.
Face Off, and then he's in,
he
Leaving
made
Las
one
Vegas.
of my favorites, and I don't know why I can't remember the name, where he won the lottery. He says,
Oh,
It could happen to you.
Yeah.
yeah, he said to the waitress, if I win, I'm going to come back in.
Can come true.
And his wife freaks out because he's going to give the money to the waitress
could
because he
happen to
promised
Yep.
her.
It's a good
Yeah.
movie. Came out
Yeah, it was a very
first
good
weekend of
movie.
August, 1994. I'm a walking IMDb.
Wow, amazing.
I'm Rain Man with movies and
More impressively, you're not even walking and you did it.
You have a favorite or, special movies in your life?
my favorite movie of all time is Empire of the Sun.
Spielberg.
Yes.
I
I've
love
never
that
seen
movie.
it.
Oh,
3 hours
Now
of
I gotta
bliss.
watch that. Yeah.
it's such a perfect movie.
All right.
It's a perfect movie.
Best-
In fact, the poster was the sun.
That's
you know,
right.
right?
I have the poster in my house. Yeah.
Red.
It's like an orangish
Orange,
sun,
yeah.
orange and yellow, and
They
then
got the little kid.
there's the kids jumping in the air,
Yeah, yeah.
and then the plane there's a plane going diagonal like through
Yeah.
the sun, and there's like the plane chemtrail like going across.
And
it.
it's one of those movies you really want to see on the big screen.
It's based on a
Well, I
novel.
Put it on my big screen at home.
The soundtrack will blow your mind.
Okay.
It's John Williams, and then there's like these there's like an Asian chorus that sings this song. I don't even know how to say the name of the song because it's in another language, but it's a gorgeous song.
Does it go like this?
It's actually not that far different.
No, this is
No, it's like Don de bum 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 be boom ba don de do. It's like something like that.
I sang a fake Asian song to Kylie at our wedding, and to this day, people come up to me and they say, "I had no idea that you spoke Chinese until I was at your wedding." The whole thing was fake, and I thought everyone got that. But I just want to.
It's better that way. Were people laughing?
A little mix, I mean,
I would have known as a comic. I'd be
Yeah.
like, Danny's messing with everybody.
Yeah,
here.
but it was amazing because it was too convincing.
You had a lot of old people there, probably.
No, not
No?
really.
Really?
No, I mean, just dumb people. I have a lot of really dumb friends.
By the way, that was a good catch because you said dumb people. You're like, wait, that Kylie's family might think it's hers. My family might. Dumb friends. It was.
It's my side.
Yeah.
So how does a guy in show business stay married?
Oh man. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say don't get married and then you'll stay with your partner. I mean, Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn are one of the longest examples of that, right?
That's rare.
They're not married, Or Tom Hanks? No, Tom Hanks is married to Rita Wilson.
Yes.
But there's a couple long-term partners that just never got married. But then there's like, examples like Tom and Rita. They got married. But I think specific to comedy is even better. I don't know how successful a marriage you can have if you're 100% road dog. If you're just always on the road, I think you got to figure out like a guy like Seinfeld did it right because he did the show and then, he obviously toured, but he was never like nobody at that time toured the way that people tour right now.
Right. When he got married, though, he doesn't go out for long periods of time.
Exactly my point.
He's going away for 2 weeks next week to the other side of the world. But that's rare. He usually goes away for...
And that seems like a long time for him.
That's huge. He usually goes away for 36 hours.
Yeah, and if you look now, if you look at some of these schedules that people have, like go look at a tour schedule of Joe Coy, Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura.
Frightening, right?
Nate Bargatze. Matt Rife. Oh my gosh, Matt Rife.
Wow.
Bless his heart. I think he's hospitalized right now, by the way, for exhaustion. Like he had to pause his tour. He had to announce a cancellation of Indiana University recently. And but they said he's going to be fine. But
Good.
That's an Alan King routine, by the way.
What is?
About exhaustion. When you're hospitalized for exhaustion, it's a rich man's disease. He goes, no poor people are ever. What are you in the hospital for? I'm exhausted. I'm so tired.
poor people are always exhausted.
Right.
They'd be in the hospital all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, nobody cares.
No.
Yeah, they do their own gardening. They do their own cleaning. They also work. They have 5 jobs. Like,
And they do everyone else's gardening and cleaning too.
oh,
Right?
There you go. Canceled.
A perfect.
He did it. Finally.
It's a perfect lead into one of our stories, the Jennifer Lopez story too.
I thought you were going to say it's a perfect lead into. I thought you had a sponsor. You're like, hit up, Consuela over on Pico. She's a phenomenal maid.
We're sponsored by Mates.
Not maids.com, just Consuela. She's really
Maids. What about this?
That's great. Gardener. My gardener sponsors the show.
good. Yeah, my gardener Abel. He's more than able, but
They have the you see, I don't know if they have it across the country. Topless maids. You've seen that
Yeah.
oh yeah.
thing out there. So, would your wife let you order that to clean the house? Topless
Not
maids?
only would my wife not let me order them, if my wife knew that existed, she's the type that would go Travis Bickle and hunt
From
down
Taxi Driver, Travis Bickle.
hunt the person down that started that and free those women. Like my wife, she is not a fan of strippers, the sex worker industry, or anything in between.
No kidding.
Yeah. So
What a unique perspective for a
Yeah,
wife
hard
to
to
have.
believe a wife wouldn't be into
Yeah.
that.
no, there was a stripper involved in her first marriage that caused it to end. Well, I mean, there are many things that caused that thing to end, but and thankfully, otherwise I would never have met her. But she has a special place in her heart for when we met, she said, I'm going to be very upfront with you. She goes, do you have a best friend? This was on the first date. I go, well, of course. She goes, okay, how close are you guys? I go, we're so close. She goes, to the point where, you probably have secrets that other people don't know about. I'm like, of course we do. And she trapped me. I go, where are we going with this? And she goes, if this guy, is he married? I go, no. She goes, if he ever gets married, if you're going to be with me, she goes, if there's a bachelor party and there's a stripper involved, you can't go. I was like,
Wow.
she got that out.
First date.
Up top. Yeah, she got that out up top. You know what I mean?
Wow. And then she says, I want all those secrets.
But I did love how she started with, you guys probably have secrets no one knows about. That was her way of ensuring, okay, cool. So he sounds like the kind of guy that would say, hey, I'm not going to tell if you're not going to tell. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. So I was like,
Wow.
I had an amazing first date. I did a show in San Antonio, and then after, it was a fundraiser for the Jewish Federation, and after they seat me at this table, and she's sitting across from me, she's on the board to raise money, and we start talking. About 10 minutes in, she goes, so what's up with, what's going on with you? I said, well, I'm going to get married one day. And she looks at me and goes, I can marry you. That was like 5 or 10 minutes after meeting her. And then a year and a half later, we got married, and we're 34 years in.
wow.
Yeah, it was amazing.
She said, I could marry you, not like I want to marry you.
She said, I think I could marry
I
you.
could
think.
marry you.
If she said, I could definitely marry you, I would have been out of there.
It's an amazing first date.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
Wow.
Wow. So what we do here, by the way, we talked about this. I'm not looking at my emails here.
Okay.
But we have some subjects, and we want to throw them out. So
Let's start with the Jennifer Lopez one because it kind of talks to the touring.
yeah, so
Oh, yeah.
you're right. That's right.
So we have a Jennifer Lopez story, right?
Yes. So Jennifer Lopez, let me try to find it here. I don't know if I can. So Jennifer Lopez has canceled her tour.
Yes.
Millions and millions and millions of dollars. She apologized to her fans. She said, "We'll get together again. I love you. But I have to go home to my family." Why?
Why did she do that?
Yeah. Well, why is you? Does a family? Really,
You know her.
Well, I could text her real quick. No, I'm kidding.
So we're thinking she's in bad shape mentally. She can't go on with the tour. The family want to be with this?
The what?
The family want to be with her now?
I think, I mean, you've seen the photos, man. Like, I hate to speak ill of these two because I don't know either one of them, but they get caught out in public all the time. They don't seem like they're having a great time. You know what I mean?
All right.
And so I think, like, sometimes people don't pay attention to the fact that, like, we live in a world now where if you're going to get that big, because that's next. Ben Affleck and J-Lo, that's next level. That's not
Right.
That's not kind of famous. That's like
Very famous.
that's like
Very, very
international.
famous.
Yeah.
Very, very, very famous.
I think people are just forgetting if you get to that level and you are become a power couple, like a famous couple, everybody's watching the couplehood more than your actual projects. Right. That's what I think. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so I think that she's done this to herself. I think her fans have kind of turned on her like, oh my gosh, Ben seems so unhappy. You know what I mean? And they always have those. He's become a meme where he's like smoking cigarettes and looking sad outside buildings. Haven't you seen these?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, and he's had drug and alcohol and gambling problems.
yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully this won't lead him back. But I wonder if I'm in the worst shape possible. Do my family really want me home now?
They're all going to go on tour.
They're
That
all-
family's going to say, "Oh, you're
Family's gonna
coming
go.
home. We're out."
Yeah. Can we
Yeah.
just play half that crowd?
Right.
Wait a minute. We should call them. Dude, they should uncancel the tour and say, sorry, we didn't mean cancel. We're just changing what the tour is.
It's us.
They need to do live couples therapy in every city.
Oh.
That would be unbelievable. A new therapist in every town. They find a couples therapist in every city, Chicago, Pittsburgh, everywhere. They come down and we do in the round, 360. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Affleck, J-Lo, Madison Square Garden. Couple.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I'd go.
I would go. That's probably the only time I would go to see a J-Lo concert.
So here,
No offense to her, but just not my taste.
you read that?
Idaho bar goes viral after declaring heterosexual awesomeness month.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess they're because this is Pride Month now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Pride Month. So what are we going to do about this? This bar, I know they're going to get a lot of flack. What are they getting flack for? Is
You-
it?
I think the argument against it would be like, oh, this is a time when gay people are being, celebrating their gay pride or whatever, right? And you're like trying to take that away from them. I don't know, but I think it does. It's one of those things that's controversial that shouldn't be controversial, really. Like anybody should be allowed to be proud about anything. It's kind of like the Black Lives Matter when people get very mad if people said everybody's lives matter, and they say, well, you're missing the whole point and that's racist. But it is true that everybody should be able to celebrate whatever they are, I think.
Well, yeah, but these days, like this, if you just even act a little patriotic, people go, "Are you MAGA?" It's like, whoa, wait, I can't like America. Like, you know what I mean? Like, do I need to show you like my voting record to prove that I'm not a Trumper? I just like this country.
Well, it's the gold sneakers that give it away.
It's true.
But it just seems so weird because first of all, when growing up, I never heard anybody talking about being a heterosexual.
Right.
Was there such a thing?
Typically, people who talk about being a heterosexual are usually a homosexual.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah, if you're constantly proclaiming your heterosexuality, you're actually hiding your homosexuality.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's like those preachers that just hell and damnation on homosexuality. Then they come up with 14 pictures of them with 9-year-olds.
Right.
Oh
right.
yeah, you have to. I mean, whenever there's I'm not gonna name names, but there's a couple comics that go so hard in the paint about like sexual assault and sexual victims that they do it 24 hours a day on Twitter where you're like, bro, what is in your closet, bro? Like you talk about this a lot, man.
Yeah.
You're standing up for women so much. Women are even going, hey, could you stop standing up for me? This is like what are you hiding? Like, yeah.
I once had a girl ask me if I was a feminist, and I said no, and she was very offended. But I think a feminist is a thing, like, a communist or, or whatever, that's the way you identify. I didn't mean I'm anti-women.
Yeah.
I just mean that I'm not part of that movement, and nor should
You're like, I
I
like
be.
women. I just don't like them that much,
I don't
sweetheart.
want them
And you-
having rights.
And you
know?
said sweetheart at the end. You're like, I just don't like them that much, sweetheart.
Honey cakes.
And then I pinch your cheek.
Yeah, come sit on my lap. I don't think you heard me. Let me tell it to you in your ear.
Can you joke with your wife about this woman stuff? Like,
Anything.
yeah.
Anything.
Because I'll say to my wife, like on Fridays we have a lady, a great lady who comes and helps, clean the house and all this stuff. My wife goes to work during the day, so she'll call up. I'll go, I'm just about to get into the shower with her, so I'll have to call you back. I'll tell my wife, I'm
Yeah.
going to get into the shower with the cleaning lady. And I said, it's not my idea, but she likes to clean in there when I'm in there. And
She said I'm the dirtiest part of the house.
I think as long as your wife knows that this is a joke and that there's no possibility that you're going to do this, you could get away with it. Right?
My wife is just, she's awesome. Like I would have to say one of my favorite things about her is she does not get offended by things at all.
Would your wife be cool with it if I borrowed your cleaning lady?
There you go. There you go.
Then she'd start getting suspicious. Danny wants the cleaning lady to come over for an
I
hour.
love my
I want
cleaning
that video. 2 guys, 1 maid.
This lady that comes to our house, she's wonderful. She does an incredible job. But one thing
Consuela, by the way, she's available.
She sponsors the show.
Doesn't work on Tuesdays. Good.
what she does that I don't like is she unplugs things.
Oh, she's an unplugger.
Yeah. Like I have a stereo system that if you unplug it, you need 12 people from the Geek Squad to come over and re-channel this thing up. And
Yeah.
she'll come home and nothing works because all the plugs are out of everything. Because she goes around the house with the vacuum cleaner. So she pulls this out, plugs it in, leaves it, goes in there, plugs it out. Yeah.
Have you learned enough Spanish to address it?
No pluggo?
No pluggo. No,
That's all I know.
no toucho, no pluggo. No pluggo toucho.
Mine, she's had to learn that I have like these things called ADHD. I'm ADHD and also OCD. I have piles in my house, and it might look like a mess to you if you came over, but it all makes sense to me. I know what every pile
Everything
represents.
is,
I know what it all is. I know why it's where it's at, and I'm not even joking. There, like I have an island in my kitchen, right, and so in the front part of it, I put a lot of my papers because I'm an out of sight, out of mind guy. Like if I come downstairs and I don't see my to-do piles, then I won't do that stuff that day. And so I put them in order of relevancy, like the stuff from the left to the right is most important to least important. So I get the most important things done, and then the least important things if I have time for them. Well, she didn't know that part yet, and so she had moved them out of order. And by the way, I noticed right away, and I mean, I literally looked like a psych ward patient, like rock. I'm like, you can't do that, and she looked at me like, I'm so sorry. I think she thought I was gonna kill her. You know what I mean? We laughed about it eventually, and now like when I come by, she makes jokes. She's like, I didn't touch your piles. You know, I'm like, yes, right. I'll kill you.
Do you take the drug for ADHD?
I do.
So
Non-stimulant though.
Right now, I just read today that there are 4 drugs that if you fly international, some of them are illegal and you can't take it into the country. And one of them was this ADHD.
Well, probably Adderall.
Yeah.
That's what they said.
That one is a stimulant. But since I'm sober, I'm on a
But if you have a prescription
non-stimulant.
for it and you go into some country and they don't let you have it, what are you supposed to do?
Take them all at once.
Who wants to be organized on a vacation
then
anyway?
Then it
You know what I
will
mean?
last you for the whole trip.
You know who's a great ADHD person? The people that own these used bookshops. Those guys. You ever walk in, you say to them, you ever catch on a rye? 15th aisle to the right, 3rd shelf,
Yep.
5 in.
My shoe guy's like that. He's the Rain Man of shoe guys. I go to this this place called Sold Out LA in the Valley, and this guy Evan that runs the place and owns it. He
Shoe?
yeah, like sneakers. I
you
collect
buy new?
sneakers. Say what?
New sneakers.
It's new and used.
Wow,
Yeah.
used sneakers.
But they're barely used. They're lightly worn. We refer
They
to
only
them as.
are worn by people with feet smaller than the shoe. So
That's right.
Only part of the
Stretch
shoe has
out,
been
yeah.
used.
But I'll go in there and I'll just be like, I'll be like, how much? I mean, there's 4 walls in this building full of shoes, and I'll go, how much for these ones? He goes, oh, those are the '04, Dunkaroo,
Dunkaroo.
Scooby Doo, Kobe Bryant,
Yeah.
black and whites. And I'm like, okay, great. How much are they? And he'll be like, oh, those are $375. And I'm like, there's 500 pairs of shoes on this wall. How do you know that? He's like, well, I not only do I know the price, I know where I got it, I know what I spent on it, and I know, You know what I mean? Like, I know the markup. I know the whole thing. Like,
Wow.
he knows his whole store like that.
You ever
So-
test him and make sure he's not making it up every time? Well, which one is that?
That's a good idea, actually.
yeah,
Like, go in, they're wildly off. He's
He
like,
could just be making all that up.
So what I have on now is the most I ever paid for a sneaker, $160. I'm sure you can top that 10 times.
oh, yes. I have a pair of sneakers that I spent $1,800 on.
I'm going to give a shout out to these sneakers, but I'm wearing. They're called Brooks. And my brother Josh got them for me.
Mel Brooks?
I don't know who the first name of the Brooks sneaker guy is, but I don't think it's Mel.
No.
But these are the most comfortable sneakers because I had Hoka's and I didn't really love them.
That's what I have on.
Yeah, I didn't care for them that much. And my brother has a great way of saying, he goes, Hoka's are the biggest scam in the footwear industry.
Why?
Because he said they're all hype and they're not as great as they.
These are good. Were you married when you bought $1,800 sneakers?
I pleaded fifth.
Yeah, you go, wow,
Yeah.
okay. I almost had
Well, the
to-
Brooks, I'm telling you, blow away the Hoka's. Brooks. Go get a pair of Brooks.
Hey, guess what? I wasn't married.
Yeah, of course. I understand. I know
Good save.
exactly what you
Very
mean.
smooth.
I would never, ever do something like that.
Sure.
So, because you've been to the joint, here's one. Trump, if he goes to prison, he's allowed to have the Secret Service with him.
I mean, I'm not surprised by that.
That's going to be awkward when he needs the toilet. I'm telling you.
That's going to be.
We've already been over that on
We've
this
been over
podcast.
it.
Yeah.
Imagine Trump having to do that.
Or one of the Secret Service people need the toilet.
You guys should have seen the deuce I took. It was the greatest deuce ever taken.
You can ask the Secret Service; they know exactly what's going on.
Was that Kermit the Frog or Trump?
I'm not sure.
I don't do it. You did an impression.
I don't do Trump, by the way. So.
But you and Jay Moore, I saw a video, and you guys were doing impressions together. He did Norm Macdonald, and you.
I don't remember. I mean, I've done so many. Maybe it could have been Michael Douglas. Could have been Vince
It
Vaughn.
was Michael Douglas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he loves, dude. Jay loves my Michael Douglas. Like,
Can we hear it?
Yeah, I'll do like, well, here's the funny story. I got a hold of Arnold Schwarzenegger's phone number once, and this is when he was the governor. I got a buddy of mine worked at a major agency, one of the top 3 big agencies, still around today, and he's a top agent there. He's the owner of that agency, and he was his assistant, and so his boss was gone, and I go, hey man, I want to get some of the phone numbers from his Rolodex, and he goes, all right, I'm going to turn around. So he just turns around to do something else, and I literally I got Warren Beatty's home phone number. I got Sylvester Stallone's cell phone number. I wrote down Owen Wilson's number. I got Harrison Ford's cell number, and one of the numbers I got was I got 5 lines for Arnold Schwarzenegger, and one of them was his secret sort of red line to the governor's office. And so I was very excited about these phone numbers, and I would tell everybody that I had them. And Jay loves this story because I was shooting a pilot at the time for Fox called Skyler's Revolution. And on this pilot, they loved this idea that I pitched them. I go, it was kind of a prank show. It was like a travel prank show. So kind of like a Borat type thing.
Yeah.
Buddies on the road, finding themselves while also pranking people along the way. And so, sorry, I just got to take a drink of water. These ADHD meds, dude, they dry my mouth out. I'm not even kidding. They're freaking terrible. So in this pilot, I pitched them. I go, I want to call celebrities as other celebrities and see if I can convince that celebrity that I'm the celebrity that's calling them. And they were like, we like this. We like this a lot. And so we did a couple practice runs. The first thing I decided to do was I actually called up Harrison Ford on his cell. And we put it on speaker. We were on an RV on the way to Vegas. And I called him up, and he picked it up. It was his cell. There was no assistant. He just picked up the phone. He's like, hello? And I just went right into Vince Vaughn. I was like, by the way, I'm losing my voice because I just did 4 shows this weekend, so I don't even know if this is going to sound exactly how I usually do it. But I go, let me take one more drink of water for this. You can cut all this out, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or we'll leave it. Show the real behind the scenes.
So Harrison Ford picks up the phone. He's like, hello? And I'm like, hey, baby, it's Vince. I go, I got your number from Jim, because that's his agent's name. And he goes, what? He goes, Jim. hey baby, it's Vince Vaughn. I got your number from Jim Burkus, and he's like, oh hey Vince, how are you? You know, because they both had the same agent, and I'm like, I'm doing good. I got a little project. I want to talk to you about, and right now I want to if you have a little bit of time to go over it because I'd love to work with you. Okay, I've always wanted to work with Indiana Jones, and you probably want to work with the guy from Swingers. You know, I did this whole thing, and I went on and on. And he completely bought it to the point where like he got so excited about the script that I was going to send over, and then I got a little nervous. I'm like, I just got Harrison Ford excited about a project.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. And poor Vince Vaughn, who like has nothing to like, you know what I mean? Like, what if all of a sudden they run into each other at a party? And he's like, hey man, I was really hurt that you like never sent me that script. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, am I like causing problems now? Like, you know,
It's a shame you couldn't do Harrison Ford and call Vince Vaughn, and then put them together.
they do both sides of the call. And so then they love that. And so like, this is great. We want more of these. And I'm like, the show was not supposed to be celebrities calling, you know, fake celebrities calling real celebrities, but it was starting to feel that way. Like they kept saying, you know, we like these so much, we want more of these. And I was like, well, that's going to change like the vibe of the show. You know what I mean? And so finally, I told them about the golden goose that I had. I said, well, I want to call Governor Schwarzenegger. And I remember the legal department was a little like, oh, well, what are you going to do? I'm like, I think it's best that I don't tell you. Let's just film it. If you can't use it, you can't use it. But I don't want you guys to like get in my head. And so I called him, and a secretary answers, you know, Governor Schwarzenegger's office. And like, you think you know butterflies in the stomach? Like, calling Harrison Ford gave me a little bit of a euphoric, like, whoa, this is weird. It was almost like a Vicodin kicking in or something. This was something else. I mean, I'm calling the governor.
Right.
And that's like, even if you block the call, they can figure out who you are. That's just, you know what I mean? So they go, Governor Schwarzenegger's office. And I was like, oh, assistant. I didn't even think about that. I'm like, so I act like an assistant too. I go, hi, I'm Michael Douglas calling for the governor. Like I just did like a quick little like, you know, just kind of, you know, I want it to sound like a, you know, a little bit of an effeminate assistant, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And she goes, 1 second, please. And then all of a sudden, she comes back and she goes, I'm sorry, the governor's going to have to take a number and call back. Did you say it's for Michael Douglas? And I go, yes. She goes, yes. So what's his number? She goes, we have a number on file, but I go, yes, this is, he has a work cell that he's working on right now. And she's like, absolutely. She didn't even like blink.
Yeah,
She's just like, sounds great.
Perfect.
So I give the number 310, whatever. And she calls back. And or then actually about 2 hours had gone by, and we all just kind of said like they're not going to buy it. They cross-referenced the number, they texted him, they emailed him, they called an assistant. I mean, Michael Douglas and Arnold Schwarzenegger are like decades old friends. It was like Warren Beatty, Nicholson, DeVito, Schwarzenegger, Douglas. They all ran together. Like they were all buddies. And so, dude, I'm so sorry I have to keep getting to drink water.
It's okay, enjoy. Plenty where that came from.
You guys got this Fiji water.
No, that's from the sink.
Oh, okay, gotcha. You just rinse out the bottles.
That's why I said plenty where that came from.
Okay. So so they call back, and the cameras were barely ready. Like we had just stopped filming whatever we were doing. The cameras weren't even rolling. And it's ringing, and it was blocked. It said like anonymous caller, and I go, guys, turn the cameras on. And when you watch the footage, when the camera's on, I look like the entire time. I'm just like, I had a Nextel flip phone because it's like 2007, so I could flip it open. You know what I mean? This is before smartphones and shit and stuff. Yeah. And so I flip it open, and she goes, "Hi, I have the governor calling for Michael Douglas," and we added a voiceover like into the show, like with my voice going. As you know, earlier I called the governor. Right. I didn't think that he was going to call me back. You know, that's like the voiceover that comes in. And then all of a sudden, like on cue, right after that voiceover, you hear, "Good evening, Michael. How are you?" And I was like, oh my. And at this point, I was just like, you just watch my eyes like, okay, here we go. Here goes nothing. Let's pull the ripcord. And I go, hey, Arnold, it's Mike. Just wanted to give you a call. Me and my wife, Catherine, wanted to have you over for dinner. We're doing a dinner for my father, Kirk. You know, as you know, he's getting up there, and he's like, "Oh, Michael, I would love to come over. When is this dinner going to be?" You know, I'm like, and it was Friday, and I said Sunday. I go, "It's going to be this Sunday," and he goes, I would have to check some things and move some things around, but I'd be very interested in coming over, especially to celebrate your father and all this stuff. You know what I mean? And I don't do Arnold, but and so the next thing you know. He goes, was there anything else you want to catch up on? And I just said, oh, you know, one of the things I want to talk to you about, you know, me and my wife, Catherine, we were talking about, you know, maybe I'd like to run for something too, like maybe something in the Senate. And he was like so excited. He goes, Michael, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about this. Like, he was just almost like, oh my God. I think he was like seeing dollar signs, like, ooh, Hollywood's going to run this whole state. You know what I mean? Like, he got really excited. And so he goes, I'll have my assistant follow up. We'll be in touch.
Yeah.
This is a true story. What happens next? It was a 7-day shoot in Vegas. That took place on the 5th day. So 48 hours later, we're now, it's the 7th day. We've wrapped and we're literally, we go out for the wrap party and we get annihilated. I'm not sober at this time in my life. I'm blacked out. I have a huge party. We went for it. We didn't go to bed that night. And so I get back to the hotel room, go to bed about 7 a.m. and like 8:30 in the morning. I've been asleep for an hour and a half. I'm surprised the vibrating even woke me up, but the vibrating, my phone was going, vroom, 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 and it would not stop ringing. They were calling me over and over and over. Finally, I pick up the phone. I flip it open and it says anonymous call. And I'm like, I wasn't even thinking.
Oh,
so
boy.
I just pick up the phone. I go, hello. And they go, hi, is Michael Douglas there? And I go, I'm like, remember, I've decimated my mind. I'm an hour and a half in a sleep. And I go, what? I'm not even prepared. I go, what? And they go, yeah, that's what we thought. Now, this isn't Michael Douglas, is it? And I go, and now I realize, like,
Yeah.
I might be in trouble.
Yeah.
And so I immediately switch. I think, you know, okay, maybe the only way out of this is they can prove that this phone called, but they can't prove that it was me that did it, right? Because I was affectating my voice, you know what I mean? And so I go, Michael Douglas, the actor, you know? And they go, yes, Michael Douglas, the actor. I go, no, this is not Michael Douglas, the actor. I think I'd be doing a little better in life if I was Michael Douglas, you know?
Yeah.
And he goes, the guy goes, well, okay. So if this isn't Michael Douglas, and maybe this is just somebody that decided they wanted to act like Michael Douglas, you know, for a goof, maybe that person should next time think about the fact that you're calling an officiant of the state. You're calling a man whose schedule is made weeks in advance, who runs a state that is the largest state in this country. He goes on, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, so the next time somebody might think about switching the governor's plans, which involves canceling meetings, canceling things that affect the state as we know it, maybe don't do that. And I go, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. And he goes, I'm sure you don't. But I think we're coming clear, right? I think I'm coming in clear, right? And I literally was, by the end of this call, I'm shaking, hang up the phone, and all of a sudden I call the producers and I tell them the whole story. And instead of just saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry you went through that, like, oh my God, did you record it? I'm like, no, I didn't record it. And thank God, I don't want proof this ever took place.
Right. Yeah.
I've never released that phone call, but I will, next time I see you guys, I'll bring it over and I'll let you watch it so you can see it.
I'd love to see it.
I'd love to see it.
And by the way, we had the same cleaning lady.
I'll tell you one real quick. When I worked at the Colbert Report as an intern, I had all the phone numbers of everybody. They gave me to file them into the computer. And it was all these, like, you know, Al Gore and all these big people that would be on that show. And I was committed to memory one number. It was the number for the guy who plays the mascot, Mr. Met, from the Mets. Mm-hmm. And I decided his name was Matt. And I decided if as long as I'm an intern, I don't think it's ethical to take this number and do anything with it. But if I can remember this number months down the line, when the internship is over, I feel like that's from my memory, and that's fair.
Fair game.
So that's fair game.
I like that thinking.
I didn't write it down. I feel like I'm not stealing anything. If I remember, I remember. That's how it is.
That's just my brain.
So I remembered. And a few months after the internship, I was like, I think I know the number for Mr. Met. Well, hanging out with my friend Maddie. He says, why? I told him the story. He goes, you think you know it? I said, I don't know for sure if I remember it, but I think I still remember it. So he says, so call him. So I blocked my number and I called this guy. And I pretend to be the Philly fanatic as the arch nemesis, so to speak, of Mr. Met, the mascot. So I put on this stupid voice and I go, Mr. Met. He goes, yes, this is Matt. I am Mr. Met. I said, you know who I am, Matt. He goes, I don't think I do. Oh, yes, you do. It's the silly fanatic, Matt. You know this voice. He goes, how'd you get my number? Who is this? He got so freaked out. I kept doing it for months. I just go,
Wow.
Mr. Met, don't avoid me, Mr.
Oh, you
Met.
called him multiple times.
Oh, yes. I started harassing Mr. Met for a little while.
Did you start blocking it?
I always blocked it. But he
So
listen,
funny.
I don't know who you are. I don't know how you got my number. But you listen to me. If I ever find out who this is. Oh,
He turns
Mr.
into
Met.
Liam Neeson from Taken. He's like, I have a very particular set of skills. If you mess with me.
I never recorded them or anything. I just did it for our own enjoyment. But I would just,
I don't know that women make these phony phone calls, but I know most
They do
guys.
not.
Most guys, right?
yeah.
There's a guy thing.
I did one. I don't know if I talked about it ever, but I found a drum like from a contest, and it was to win a swimming pool. It was this giant drum, and
Oh, yes.
So I picked out a name, and I called the guy, and I said, "Hi, excuse me, do you remember you entered a contest and so?" He goes, "Yeah, I remember that." He goes, "The first prize was a swimming pool." He goes, "Yeah, I remember that." I go, "Well, congratulations, you won the pool." He goes, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, and the men will be there tomorrow morning to start digging." He goes, No, I live in an apartment house. I cannot have a swimming pool put in. I rent." I go, "These guys are professionals. They will find a place to put the pool." He goes, "You can't put it in. They're going to sue me." I go, "Don't worry about it. They're going to be very happy with this pool because you don't have one now." And finally, the guy told me to go myself and then slammed the phone on me.
Right.
But it was a great moment.
Great moment.
That's a good
in
one.
Shift history.
I love the idea. Like, you're going to don't look a gift horse in the mouth, buddy. We got a pool coming.
You
here.
entered
You,
the
you have
contest
told
by
that story
law.
before, but I love it every time.
We legally have to give it to you. We
That's
have
what
to,
I
like,
said. By
Yeah.
law, we have to put it
we
in.
have to put
Yeah.
it in.
You have no
I'm going to get in trouble if you do. I'm going to get in trouble if I don't put it in.
Right.
place for my family. Terrific.
So, give us the plug for the Comedy Rocks show as Ralphie May, please.
All right, listen up, okay? You want to see some comedy? All right, you in Los Angeles? All right, are you just traveling from afar? Are you some Southern belle? Maybe you took a Southwest Boarding Group C flight down to Los Angeles and you want to see some comedy, eat some terrible barbecue? Go down to the Hollywood Improv. They're crushing Cheetos, man. They're crushing Cheetos and putting on brisket. It's not right, Stone. It's not right. It's not right. Dude, you know about that story, right? They had a normal menu at the Hollywood Improv.
I do know this, but tell it.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they got like some barbecue impresario, they called
Right.
him. But it wasn't like he was like some Southern, like he was like a true barbecue guy, like Ralphie.
Right.
He was a New York chef that, did like barbecue flair with his dishes. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so they brought him in. They had spent all this money. They redirected the improv, they redecorated the improv,
Yeah,
and
I
none of the
remember
comics
this.
liked it. We all hated the I can't say it. Redecoration.
Yeah.
And we all hated the new menu. But Ralphie was the only. We would eat these sandwiches and go, "Is this really like a pulled pork sandwich with crushed Cheetos on it?" Like, and they thought it was so cool that he like put Cheetos on it. And
Yeah.
Ralphie did not think that was cool.
Yeah.
So Ralphie came in there one day. He's like, "I'm gonna go check out this. I'm gonna see what this freaking barbecue's like." Dude, it's so hard, by the way, to do Ralphie without cursing because he
Yeah.
cursed so much.
Yeah.
So I'm like holding back, but he went down there and he took one bite of the thing. And he goes, "You bring that guy out here right now." So they bring the guy out and he started screaming. And
Do it with the curses. We'll beep. It'll be
all right,
funny.
what the fuck is this shit, huh? You think I want to eat this shit? He goes, "I'm not gonna, this isn't barbecue. All right, this is some bullshit, man." he went nuts on the guy. I heard the guy was almost crying, and Ralphie just left. And then I don't know that he came back to the club after that.
No, I think that was the end of barbecue at the Improv.
Yeah. And
I remember this.
yeah, they shortly after that guy did not
Yes.
work there. That's the power of Ralphie May.
And
you
he
know?
went nuts about it. Not just that night. It was became like a crucifix.
There's not a lot of things you shouldn't listen to Ralphie on a lot of subjects. You know,
Yeah.
like eating. You shouldn't listen to him about
how much to eat.
sleep-
No, but
yeah.
what tastes good.
like
he knew.
sleep patterns. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But if he says something about barbecue, you better pull up a chair. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
You went out to eat with him, I'm sure, many times.
well, this is also a famous story, and I have people to back this up. He thought I was disgusting how I ate. He thought it was gross. I could out eat him at restaurants,
Really?
dude. I did it.
I could not.
I did it at Pacific Dining Car downtown. I did it at a sushi restaurant at South Point Casino in Las Vegas. I did it at a restaurant in the Valley. He's like, "Stone, the way you eat's disgusting, man." He's like, "You put so much food in your mouth." Here's this huge guy telling me this. I could eat more than anyone you know.
I was on Gabriel's tour bus with him once, and I've told this on the show before too, but I was on Gabriel's tour bus, Gabriel Iglesias for people out there, and he's like, I'm going to order some food. So he orders from this Italian restaurant, and he orders before he did this, he told me that he'd been cutting down and give me some advice on, like, how we got to lose weight, the two of us. And he's like, you're a big guy too. I started cutting down. I said, okay. He orders from this Italian restaurant. Copious amounts of food. I mean, more than I even saw ever Ralphie order. He just got so much food. They just kept. It was like an old British comedy routine where they just kept bringing it in and bringing it in. And I was shocked. And then they laid it all out in the tour bus on the table in front of him. And he's like, that stuff is for you guys. Go hit it as you want. This is mine. But the amount that was his was like, for a medieval king. And I was like, I said, Gabriel, you're going to eat all that? And he got so mad at me. He goes, you're going to tell me how to eat?
Well, Ralphie did. He would say to me all the time, he's like, Stone, the way you eat is disgusting. So anyway, come down to Hollywood Improv. When's this episode going to be out?
In about a month.
It's like, what date you think? Past the 19th?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know my July date, but well, when you hear this episode, you just missed a hell of a show. Skyler just had Nick Swartzen, Bobby Lee. He had Pauly Shore, Jamie Piven, and you weren't there. Maybe it's a good thing because no one likes Cheetos on the brisket.
So where could they find you to find
how
that
can people
information?
find it?
The Comedy Rocks.
Yeah,
Comedy Rocks is at the Hollywood Improv. Usually once a month, sometimes twice a month. Always at Takeover like a whole night. It's like 7:15 and 9:30 in the main room, and we get everybody, man. Sebastian Maniscalco, Anthony Jeselnik.
I've done it once when it was back at the Comedy Store. It was.
You
great.
did do it at the store. That's right. You did it at the Comedy Store. I've never had you at the Improv.
Not yet, no.
Okay, well I got to get you on. I definitely owe you a spot for being late today, so I'll be sending you. You as well. I'll send you both a spot.
Thank you.
He's like, hey, what about this guy right here?
Thank you.
So, and people can find you on social media where?
Instagram at the Skyler Stone, Twitter at the Skyler Stone, and yeah,
amazing.
TikTok too, I guess. I don't do a whole lot on there, but
Mark's got a phenomenal book out.
Why not? Lessons on Comedy, Courage, and Chutzpah. It's out now.
And another book that you did, which we never talk about, but
I Killed.
I was telling Kylie, but way before I ever knew you, I read that book. I Killed. It was.
I
wait,
Killed.
that's your book?
Yeah.
I have that book.
Yeah.
My wife bought me that book.
I Killed: True Stories of the Road by America's Top Comics.
That's your book.
Yeah.
It was one of the
I
first,
love that book.
it was one
It's
of
on
the
my
first-
coffee table.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a picture when I get home to prove
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah,
you.
that was one of the first comedy books that I got. Like that and the Comedy Bible. Do you remember the Comedy Bible?
Comedy Bible.
Yeah, Comedy Bible.
I don't think I have that one.
What's her name?
Yeah, I forgot now. But Judy Carter.
Judy Carter.
The Comedy Bible. Those are like, when you start getting into comedy and you're like, I got to get the books, and I Killed, and I love that book.
Thank you.
I have some comic books out. fairenoughcomic.com is where you can get them. And follow me on Instagram and all that stuff. Follow the show on Instagram. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube. We're on TikTok. We're on Apple iTunes and Spotify and anywhere else you find podcasts. You can find us. And we think it's funny. We hope you did too. Until next time, Daniel LaBelle.
Mark Schiff.
And Skyler Stone.
Michael Douglas.
Vince Vaughn, baby.
Ralphie May.
Thanks for being here. We love you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
That was a great one.